The goal is God's people being changed by the power of the gospel, but here the goal is them living on mission and service for Christ in his gospel. So again, now let me say too, this is God's plan, and the recession has actually helped us with this. Now, I'm not a big fan of the recession. You know, statistically, I kind of struggle with the recession. Here's why. Because as a researcher, one of the things that I know is there was a researcher, a writer, a professor actually at Texas Tech did a study. And what he found was that historically, over several decades, that Protestant church membership, his definition was Protestant church membership and economic cycles are counter-cyclical. What that means is the worse the economy gets, the more Protestant church members historically have become. So in other words, right, when the economy's bad, it tends to be a good opportunity for churches to reach people. Right? Now that's tough because it kind of, you know, so how do we know how to pray in the middle of that? Right? Lord, end the recession, or Lord, make it really, really bad. But the recession has helped us. Here's why. Scarcity brings clarity. Scarcity brings clarity. And for many churches, the recession has forced all kinds of churches to become more volunteer-driven organizations. That doesn't mean that that's always easy, because I'm staff, you're staff. But what happens is it's forced us to say, how many more of God's people can we engage as volunteers? I hope we learn that lesson in the recessions and we don't unlearn it when the recession's over. Because the goal of pastoral ministry is not to be the one who does everything. It's to be the one who helps others to do their ministry and their mission for the glory of God. Now, I think if we miss this, we're going to end up with churches that are built around personalities or tools rather than people transformed by the gospel, living on mission for the gospel. Now, that does not bode well for the future of your church or mine. Listen, I'm not a prophet. I'm not the son of a prophet. Actually, I work at a nonprofit organization. But I want you to hear this. If we spend all of our time making consumers happy, and we make our ministries largely an attempt to pander to consumer Christians so they'll like what we do better than the church down the road, we will fill up with our churches who will be consumers. They will pay, pray, and get out of the way until the situation changes, until you change the music or you change the leadership, and then what happens is they will turn on you because you are not providing the service that they're paying for. And that's not what you want in your church. You don't want a church full of consumers who think that you exist to dispense religious goods and services to them in a timely and professional manner. Now, one of the unintended side effects of excellence can be consumers who are drawn to excellence. But is excellence cause that? No. No, I'm a believer in excellence. But what we have to recognize is that in the midst of that, we've got to encourage all God's people to what? Everyone should use it to serve others as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. So don't miss the second part of that verse 10. Everyone should use it to serve others. You know what everyone means? I said it, everyone. To serve, some translations say minister to others as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. And that changes the way we think. See, part of the challenge is that probably, you know, most of you are church staff, right? How many of you are on staff at church? Raise your hand for just a second. Okay, the vast majority of you. How many of you are lay people? Raise your hand for just a second. You're lay people. All right, good. About a third of you are lay people. Let me talk bad about the lay people for just a minute, since they're the minority here. Okay. Because in the way most churches operate, the job of the lay people is just that, to lay around and do nothing. Now, not you, because you're here, right?